Hi guys, welcome back to the Cornish Angler. You join me out on the bank at the local reservoir on a beautiful, sunny, but quite chilly Sunday morning in mid-January. I've managed to actually come to this reservoir in daylight hours for a change, and I thought I'd make the most of that time by trying to do a bit of deadbaiting. When it comes to deadbaiting, I'm a bit of a novice. I haven't done a lot of it. When I'm pike fishing, I'm mainly lure fishing. And when I have lure fished here, I've done quite well. I've had pike up to 16 pounds, quite a few doubles as well, and countless small little jacks from tiny little babies like this up to 3-4 pound mostly, and a few higher singles as well. But yeah, I wanted to try and target some of the bigger fish, and the bigger fish do seem to come out on dead baits in general, not just here, but on river systems, canals, other lakes as well. So that's what I've come to do. What I'll do in a minute, I'll show you through my rigs and my tactics and my setups. Feel free to comment below if you think I'm doing something wrong or think I could do something better. I am willing and hopeful to learn along the way, hopefully get better at this method and catch myself a really big mummer. But before I show you my setups and rigs, I want to show you something really exciting that happened when I first got here. So just in front of me is the water, and before you properly get into the water, there's a little ledge, probably 2 or 3 inches deep. Obviously it was dark when I got here, had my head torch on, shine my light into the water on that ledge, and I saw a tiny fish. I thought it might have been a perch or a little rudd, but actually it was something much cooler. It was a baby little pike, which I'll show you now. So something really cool happened this morning when I turned up to the swim. Basically there's a little ledge just as you enter the water, probably 2 or 3 inches deep. Shone my head torch on there, I could see a little fish on there. I thought it might have been a little perch or a little roach or something, but it was this little dude, a tiny little pike. Really cool. I will see if I can just get him out for you a second without scaring him too much. There we go. Look at him. Ugh. Come on. Alright, I'm not going to scare him too much. You don't want to be held, but he is awesome. Probably 10 inches long. Quite a big head on him for a small fish, to be fair. So I'm going to get him up. Just calm down. There we go. Look at the colours on that. Perfection in miniature. So yeah, what a little dude that little pike was. Absolutely stunning little fish. Obviously I caught with a net, so no marks in his mouth or anything whatsoever. Perfect little example of a pike. Absolutely awesome. I love seeing things like that. I think it's really cool. But now he's back, let's show you my rigs and tactics for this session. Right, so my float setup for deadbaiting today looks like this. I'll bring it a bit closer as you can see. So the first thing I do is just thread on a little float stop onto my main braid. This is 53 pound braid, so nice and strong. And then the next thing I thread on is a little bead. This is just a little black bead. And that is just to stop the float from going past the float stop. Next, I've just got a basic sea float. This came with a little set, I think it was $1.99. Came with the weight, obviously it's for sea fishing, came with a sea hook. But I could use the beads, use the float, and use the swivel that came with it. Next, I've got a bead, the weight, and another bead. Okay, the beads are there just to stop the weight from bashing against the float. And then the other bead is to stop the camera from hitting against the weight as well. Okay, so this is the Western escape cam. You can see there, it's flashing green, which shows it's on. Obviously got the lens at the bottom. I've attached the stabilising part on there as well, because otherwise that's going to be twisting quite a lot in the water. So hopefully that just gives a slightly better shot. Coming off there, I've got a swivel clip. So swivel ties onto the braid, and using that clip just means that I can quickly change my wire trace if I need to. So I can unclip that quickly, get a new one on. Nice long wire trace, that's probably comes about 40 centimeters. Okay, and then I've got a kebab rig on the end. So that's the end of the red stem. Obviously, that's to stop the bait coming off. You can put a little pop-up ball on there if you want to, if you're on the bottom, wants to pop it up. Then got 5 pieces of fish. This is part of a sea mix bag from Devon Baits. So I've just chopped that up. Try and have the bigger pieces at the bottom, where the stopper is, and then slowly make them smaller as you come up. If you have a massive piece at the top here, it's just going to kind of mask the hook a little bit. And then size 4 treble hook, squash down all the barbs on that. There's a little hole at the top of the stem, so you thread one of your hooks through that, and then attach this little bait flag here just to stop it from coming off. So it's simple as that. I'm going to set it about 4 foot to start with. It's about 6 foot of water out there. So yeah, have about 2 foot off the bottom. But obviously you can play with that with the float stop, make it as shallow or as deep as you want. Yeah, I want this one floating a good few feet off the bottom, because the other 2 rods will be close, if not on the bottom themselves. Let's get this one cast out. Right, so I'm just to the right hand side of the swim. I've got my 2 dead baits on the bottom going straight out, so have that one going out to the right hand side there. But also I can move that around as I want to. Let's take a look at the other 2 rigs. Right, so this is my left hand rod. This hasn't got a camera on, so this is a nice simple rig. I'll bring it again a bit closer so you can see. So what I've got here is a little boom on my main line, thread that on first. So that's got a little boom that comes down to my lead. So that's a 4 ounce lead, that's going to hold the bottom nicely and it shouldn't move when I get a pickup. Okay, now I haven't got a big enough bead, so I've actually had to cut a little bit of hard plastic to stop the hole of that boom. You see it's quite big. To stop that from actually going over the bead. But again, I've got a bead there just to protect the plastic from the swivel, so it shouldn't break off. Okay, so that's fixed there. But because it's so free running, it shouldn't cause any resistance when hopefully a pike picks up my bait. Again, make sure I've got a clip style swivel there so I can change the wire trace really easily, really quickly. A swivel at the top of my trace. Again, crimped on, got a little bit of silicone tube in there, just to make it neat and tidy really. Doesn't make it any stronger, it just makes it neat and tidy. Again, nice long wire trace. Give me plenty of protection. And then my bait this time, I've actually got a pop-up rig. So this is a little bit of mackerel. Basically what I've got here is a series of little pop-up balls on a little wire trace. I thread that through the fish, down, try and show you, to a little clip. Okay, and that actually clips onto the hook itself, which means if it comes away, there's no chance of the pike swallowing that. It's attached to my hook, it's coming back with me every single time. I've just reeled this in, so yeah, the hook at the back's actually come out a little bit on the retrieve. Second hook, a bit closer up to the head. So that'll just sit up like that in the water. It's actually going to sit up quite high because I've got a nice long wire trace on, so it should be well out of the weed. Okay, but yeah, nice and simple. I find it's a nice, easy way to get your pop-ups attached to your hook nice and securely. There's lots of other ways you can do it, and I will play around to try and get it a bit neater because it's a little bit obvious at the moment. But yeah, just playing around with a few different ideas. So we'll see if that works. So let's get that back out there. I'll just tidy the hooks up a little bit and yeah, cast it as far as I can out in front of me.
Here, I'm moving the rear bank stick slightly to the right, so that my rod points straight at my hook bait. Any angle from the line exiting the top ring of the rod can cause resistance if a pike investigates the bait. This subtle bit of attention to detail could be the difference between an investigation and a hookup.
Right, and finally, the third rod is also on the bottom, but I've got another Western camera attached to that one as well. So let's have a look at that setup. Right, so there's a little bit more to this rig, a bit more cumbersome, but hopefully the pike won't mind. So again, I'm starting off with that little boom. So a little ring there, comes down to a boom onto my lead. That pop-up, by the way, is just to keep that away from any weed. That will sit up there. So your lead will be on the bottom. It just keeps your line off any weed and debris. So again, helps keep that line as free running as possible. Again, bit of plastic I've cut off just to stop that ring from going over my swivel, followed by a little bead. Then again, I've got the Western camera, lens facing down towards the bait. Now this time I've also got a little method feeder before I go onto my trace. There's two reasons for that. One, what I do is I fix that into the camera, and that helps keep the camera lying on the bottom flat. Otherwise it tends to tilt up like that without it. This needs that little bit of weight. And also I've got a little bit of ground bait with me, so I'll fill that with ground bait, and hopefully that will attract some little fish in, which will in turn attract some pike in. So that's the theory behind the method feeder. Again, swivel clip, wire trace, nice and long, coming down to a bit of mackerel. Got the top hook here, the bottom of the hook at the bottom here. Let's see if I can get that to focus in. No, it wants to go to my face. So yeah, nice and simple. Cast that back out with a little bit of ground bait in the method feeder, and we'll see if we can catch a pike on it. Right, so there's a little look at the setup on the rod end. So I've got a Fox Predator drop-off indicator there. This fancy reel cost about £6 from AliExpress. It's been in the water, dropped in the water, had it for about 2 years now, and it's still going solid. So it just shows you don't have to spend loads of money on the reel. Because on the other rod, I've got a Nash Dwarf Big Pit 6000 reel there, which I've had for lots of years, but I haven't really used it very much. Found it in the garage. I thought I'd load that with some braid. And both reels, totally different price points, but work just as well as each other. Rods, this is an old carp rod. It's a £3 test curve rod. Can't remember the make. Sheer carp. Yeah, £3. 12-foot rod. And this is a Sonic Vader. I think this is a 10. Oh, this is a 12-foot rod as well, actually. £3 test curve as well. Some Sonic bite alarms. These are my old ones, the SKS's. So I use these, basically use these down there because it's such a brutal place to fish, and I'm clumsy, so I don't use my more expensive newer ones. But I've had these for years and they're great. No problems with them whatsoever. Yeah, you see it's a lovely morning out there, not a breath of wind. It's about 8:30 now, maybe 8:45. Beautiful, the geese are still here, still nice and warm. It's probably about 10 degrees now. Oh look, kingfisher. Bobbing along, he's cool. So yeah, floats just kind of drifting around. I'll just keep recasting that every 15 minutes or so. And I'll probably give each bottom rod about 20-25 minutes. Recasting regularly. I have been hampered by weed a little bit, especially on the right hand rod for the camera. So yeah, not too hopeful of that one, but hopefully the pop-up one will go off at some point. Right, so whilst the action is very quiet, I thought I'd just run through my kind of ideas for my tactics today. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you know I'm fishing a very wild reservoir. It's been kind of left to its own devices for many years. And so it's a really beautiful place to fish, but it can also be quite challenging. A lot of the lake, pretty much all the lake, apart from the dam end, where it's a bit deeper, is just full of weed. So unless you've got time to come and rake some spots and really investigate some clear areas, a lot of the time you won't know if you're casting onto weed, not until you reel in. Which is why I've gone for a variety of tactics today. I've got one ledger rod where I've got the bait popped up by probably 3 feet. So hopefully that is sitting above any weed. I've got my float rod, which again is drifting around, it's not touching the bottom. So again, that hopefully is out the weed. And when I've been reeling in those rods, I have picked up a bit of weed as I'm bringing it back, but to begin with, it seems nice and clear. So that tactic seems to be working. On my third rod, which has got a ledger set up with a dead bait, that's got the underwater camera on. So I can't really fish that bait popped up because the camera wouldn't really see the bait, unless I did maybe a slight pop up. But I haven't done that today. And that's bringing weed back every single time. Now, the swim I'm fishing in, I've done a lot of tench fishing in here before, and I have spent 3 or 4 hours either the day before or at the start of the session clearing a spot on the weed. I haven't had a chance to do that this morning. I haven't had a chance to do that for the last few weeks. Been very busy at work and with the kids and Christmas, all that sort of stuff. So I have come here today kind of just pub chucking essentially. Hopefully it's sitting in a clear spot and I can pick up a pike. I've cast as far out as I can. I've cast to the near margins, which is where the rods are now. I'm hoping the margins are slightly more clear. Just about in front of me where I weighed out is pretty clear, so hopefully they're fishing effectively there. But yeah, it's not ideally how I want to be fishing at the moment. What I'd like to do is come the night before or the day before for a couple of hours and get 2 or 3 spots cleared out and then just fish solidly on those spots. So that'll hopefully be the plan moving forward. We're now mid-January, so I've got a month and a half left of the pike fishing season. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I do like this swim. I have seen quite a lot of fish showing, small fish, maybe some tench and bream as well, some bigger shows. So the fish do seem to be held up in the main body of water at the moment. But when we're lure fishing, we're catching fish from everywhere really, from the dam ends right up to the island end to my left here and out in the middle. So the pike seems to be well spread. I just need to try and clear some spots. I have fished the dam swim a few times, but mainly like in the evening. I haven't had many daylight hours to fish in, and it does seem that after an hour of darkness the fish just turn off. I've had a few runs kind of an hour after dark, so kind of like 6 o'clock-ish. One I've hooked into, got it quite close to the net and it fell off, so I haven't actually landed anything. But I've had 5 or 6 runs out of 3 sessions, so the tactics have been working. I just haven't landed those fish. But like I say, after 6:30, really pitch black, there's just no point staying because the fish are switched off. So yeah, that's why I haven't really done that much dead baiting this season so far. Mainly get 2 or 3 hours on a Sunday morning where I've been trying to just catch a few fish on the lure. But moving forward, I'm going to have a bit of time in the week. I'm going to have 1 day a week, most weeks now. So some daylight hours. So I am going to try and target some pike on the dead bait a bit more often. Fish baits wise, I'm trying all sorts. I'm trying more natural baits like perch and roach. The roach actually been working quite well. I had quite a few of my runs on the roach. But also some nice oily sea baits like sardine and mackerel. Mackerel seems to be quite a favourite. The sardines are a bit softer, so a little bit harder to fish. But again, they're a very popular bait, so it's something I'll be trying a bit more. The rigs I'm pretty happy with, the setups, the running ledgers. From what I've watched on YouTube as well, I don't think there's anything wrong with those. I've tied my own hook links up. I've got nice long traces. The hooks are really, really sharp, and I'm attaching them how most people seem to be attaching them. Use a little bit of bait elastic just to keep them secure when I do lob them out as far as I can. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the tactics I'm using. I think I just need to, 1, get some nice clear spots ready, and 2, just persist. Keep trying. I'm sure eventually I will hook into some more fish. Having said that, I am relatively novice when it comes to dead baiting, so any feedback in the comments, don't be afraid to say, maybe try this, or you should be doing this. I want to learn, I want to get as good as I can at dead baiting. There's got to be some monster pike in here. I'd love to catch one of them. So it's been left for years and years and years. It's really wild. There is so many bait fish in here. I've had tench, 5 or 6 pound tench with massive pike marks on them. So there's got to be some big fish in here. So if you can help me by commenting below what you think I should be doing, what I could try, I am willing to try anything. I'm happy, little fish just showed there. I'm happy to learn along the way. I want to learn along the way. We all should want to learn along the way. You never know. A slight change in tactic or approach might get you more fish or that monster fish we all want. It is now about 10 o'clock. I've got an hour before I'm going to be back in the car. Well, an hour till I've got to leave the swim really actually. So I'm going to recast, redo the baits one more time. I'm going to do exactly the same. I have got some perch dead baits. I might put one of those on. I've given it about 45 minutes in these margin spots. So I'm just going to cast them out as far as I can again. Fingers crossed I can pick up a fish before I go. Right, what I'm going to do now is show you how I attach this pop-up part onto the fish. All right, it's a little trout. Lovely little trout. First thing I'm going to do is just going to cut the tail off. Neaten that end section off. Now what I have done, if it's got quite a big mouth on the fish, it's like a mackerel, I keep the head on and the pop-up actually fit inside the mouth and tuck in quite nicely. It won't on this trout, so I'm just going to trim his head off. So I'm just left with a piece like this. Then I'm going to take this long baiting needle, I'm going to thread it all the way up through the fish that pops out there. So on the end of the wire trace here, try and show you that. It's got a little clip. So I'll put that onto the baiting needle and I can pull that all the way through. Like so. Okay, so we've got the pop-ups on the end. Probably a little bit overkill. I bought these off Amazon, no, off eBay, ready tied. Probably actually take one of those off, to be honest, but we'll try it as it is. So now that is ready to go onto my hook link, which I'll go and get now. Right, so there's my hook link. So before I put the hooks in, I'm just going to pass that clip through the eye of the back hook there and clip that on, he says. There we go. So there's no way that wire trace with these pop-up balls on is gonna become loose. Okay, even if the bait comes off, that is attached securely onto that back hook. So there's no chance of the pike swallowing those poly balls at all. Okay, then let's put that treble in there and the other treble at the top of the bait there. Okay, then I'll just get a bit of bait elastic and whip that around just to secure that bit better in place. And that's good to go. Right, it's got my bait elastic. And just use that to secure that top hook in place there. Not too much. That bottom hook's alright. So yeah, not overkilling on the bait elastic, just enough just to secure that bait for the cast. Alright, and then that is ready to go. Right guys, well it's come up to packing up time. Unfortunately no fish to show you. Keep the rods out for 5 minutes while I start packing some bits away. But yeah, I think no luck for me today, unfortunately. Hopefully you enjoyed the video anyway, and like I say, comment below if you think I should have done something differently. I've given it a good 2.5 hours in this swim. Maybe I should give it an hour and moved on to a different swim, but yeah, I wanted to just try it out here for the whole session really and give it its best chance as possible. What I'm going to do, I am probably going to come up here Wednesday evening just with a grappling lead and a rod and just try and clear a few areas out in front of me. So next time I come in this swim, hopefully I'll be fishing some nice clear spots. But I will take a look at the underwater camera, so there might be some extra footage in a minute, so don't stop watching just yet. Just in case some pike did take an interest in the bait, but didn't actually take it. And just see what the substrate of the lake is as well where I'm fishing. But yeah, if nothing else, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it, even though there's no fish to show. If you did, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, it'd be much appreciated if you did, and click that bell notification as well. And hopefully I'll catch you guys again soon, and next time with some fish on the bank as well.
So, after looking through hours of underwater footage, not a single pike appeared on screen. The ledger rod camera showed the weed wasn't as thick as I thought it was, but it was still present everywhere and would make fishing tight to the bottom difficult. The float rod camera showed the bait drifting around freely. Perhaps I could set the float a bit deeper next time. What was interesting was to see big towers of weed coming up from the lake bed all the way to the surface. These are surely good ambush points for the pike to attack their prey from. But other than that, there really isn't anything else to look at. So thanks again for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video and take care.